Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today. Today's upload is just jam-packed full of some very terrifying information and experiences. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It doesn't cost a cent. Click that like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all this really does help the channel to continue to grow and go. And folks, it definitely does matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? All right, guys, today's first part of the upload. Last night, I was on the phone with a gentleman for about an hour and a half. They had a very kind of disturbing experience that they wanted to share with you guys. They just want to wait until I talk to the other person that was there. And it happened in the Canadian Rockies. There's a kind of city that's called Tumbler Ridge. Now, it's a very isolated city. It's smack dab in the middle of the Canadian Rockies, even though the internet says it's in the foothills of. If you Google map it, Tumbler Ridge, it is smack dab. They actually had their experience just south of Tumbler's Ridge. And what they witnessed was something 3 times the size of this gentleman. And he is like 5'10", 5'11". This thing was just absolutely huge. It was not a Bigfoot. It was human-like and just an absolute chilling experience. Just really quick to kind of get you, Tumbler Ridge is a district municipality in the foothills of the British Columbian Rockies in the northeastern part of British Columbia, Canada. A member municipality of the Peace River Regional District with a population of 2,399 as of 2021, living in the town site. The municipality encompasses an area of roughly 602 square kilometers of mostly crown land. The town site is located near the confluence of the Murray River and Flatbed Creek, and the intersection of Highway 52 and Highway 29, and includes the site of the Tumbler Ridge Secondary School, Tumbler Ridge Airport. It is part of the Peace River South Provincial Electoral District and the Prince George Peace River Northern Rockies Federal Riding. It was incorporated in 1981, so it's fairly new. It was set up for a mining community, coal mining. And these guys, these 2 gentlemen, had been not working. They both actually had taken a couple of days off to go hiking during the summertime. And they were south of Tumbler Ridge, the municipality. But that is deep in the Canadian Rockies. Look it up. Google it. It is really way up there. I mean, God's country. And they had been kind of up at this kind of water hole where they were going to camp for the night. And they had witnessed, they'd kind of seen off in the distance on this kind of pondish. He doesn't think it's a lake. He believes that it is a pond. He's not really familiar with the exact names of the location that he was at because his friend had taken him. But it was not like a very large body of water. It was big enough, couple acres, he said. It would have taken him a while to swim from one side to the next. But they're sitting on one edge and they look across this water and they see these ripples, these large ripples kind of casting out. And they notice what initially they thought had been a rock or a boulder sitting in this water. The whole time they were sitting there, they're just watching the water, just relaxing, looking out. They didn't see any ripples. They just saw this boulder kind of thing on the other side of the lake. And the ripples started and the boulder started to come out of the water. And it was a bipedal humanoid, at least 16 to 18 feet in height. Just a monstrous, not hairy, fully nude. So he did get quite the view. But it did have kind of these clothes made what look like skin. And it put them on. They immediately kind of looked for cover. I will fill in the rest tomorrow after I talk to the other guy. But it just absolutely terrifying when you guys hear the rest of it. He just wanted to make sure that he has complete permission to share the whole thing, because the guy that he was with is actually works for the Canadian government, and he just doesn't want to get him in trouble, but feels that this needs to be shared. So that will be tomorrow's upload. But just imagine just sitting there. You're relaxing. You've been hiking most of the day. It's 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And you're looking out at this water and you see this, what you think is a boulder in the far side of this pond or lake. And all of a sudden you kind of notice these ripples. You're like, what the hell is that? And it just starts getting higher. And then you realize that's a neck, that's shoulders, that's a back. Holy shit, that's a humanoid. And that's a huge human. Just really crazy. But tomorrow, hopefully, when I talk to the other gentleman, that'll be good, because I really want to hear his side of it, because there is just a lot of missing parts, because he actually, the guy that I spoke to with last night, had actually fallen during them guys seeking cover, and he was knocked out for about 5 minutes, but he was hurt for quite some time. He was bleeding. He had to get staples in his head. He does remember a lot of what happened, but he was kind of pulled into a cavern where he couldn't see a lot of what happened outside of the cavern. He could hear what was out there, and he could hear what, and know what his friend told him. But also, he doesn't want to get his friend in trouble, which I understand as well. But let's get into today's second part of the upload. All right, guys. So today's second part Dogman experiences. The third part is some information out of Dulce, which I'm very excited to share with you guys. Also, either later this week or early next week, I've got a ton of information that comes out of Nightmare Hall, which has piqued my interest for a very long time. And I know a lot of you guys are very interested in that as well. When we think about Vietnam and cryptids, immediately most think of rock ape or the reptilian creatures. There was a special force team that encountered like 4 or 5 of these reptilian creatures that came out of a cave. Obviously, we've heard of rock apes, dogmen, and Victor telling us about the dogmen and werewolves used as weapons of war in Vietnam. So for the longest time, Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos have just really been this kind of hub of mystery. We know that there are secrets in those jungles. It's not as easy for scientists to navigate and investigate as it would be Central America, South America, because there's still a lot of stuff going on over there that, you know, Americans aren't welcomed in certain parts of those regions still to this day. And this just piqued my interest, being my dad, a Vietnam vet, and many of your parents that that are part of this channel, I know for a fact are, children of Vietnam vets. So I think you guys will like this. Nha An is known as the land of extinct human beings, but it does seem that there are many talented people, but devils and epic ghosts are not less. I have never been there, and all the experiences I've heard are from relatives. They go out to play and they talk again. Even my grandmother was born there, didn't know because she had to go to the north since he was a child. Sai Lang, or people of the northern north central region, call Sai for short. It's a name for a combination of 2 Chinese words, Sai meaning wood in the forest, and Lang meaning wolf dog. I don't know what this name is, but they say that it comes from the name in the legend of the species Sai Q, a freak dog breed that specializes in eating ethnic people trained to transform into humans and capable of imitating the human voice. This species has been operating on the northern border of Vietnam and related provinces of China since the early 10th century. The predator kings had to send many officers, hired hunters, and even sent dynasty wizards to destroy these monstrous species. Later, it can also be explained that it is a big wild dog breed, especially ferocious or attacks people, because there are no wolves in Vietnam, so the people of that time imagined such a strange breed. Back to Sai Lang. The scenario of its appearance is completely different from the Sai Q. Sai Lang appeared in the middle of the modern era when advanced technology was slowly dominating the world. The stories surrounding it, whether embroidered or recorded, cannot be denied to have extremely attractive appeal and persuasion. However, in the end, no one has given evidence of their existence. In 1945, our country fell into the most terrible famine in history. 2 million people starved to death, mostly in the northern province. Nha An is not the center, but it is also heavily affected, and many people have been in the same situation. Myself, my grandparents' family, if it wasn't for the landlord having food to store, I probably wouldn't be here to share these experiences now. In the old days, raising dogs was not popular because people thought they looked like thieves, but only rich people were afraid of thieves. The main purpose is to watch out for wild animals to catch chicken and duck. People also say that dogs see the devil's soul, so keep it to drive away ghosts and avoid accidents and disease. But until 1945, people could not eat. The corpses are all over the road next to the tracks and garbage on the fields, not to mention families with many children seeing children starving or losing their mothers, losing their fathers to beg for food, but feel pity. So the dogs are starting to get evicted from these houses or sold to ease a burden. Many children are starving, more miserable than being slaughtered because of malnourishment in the same extreme. The number of dead people increased day by day, so the number of stray dogs were getting more and more numerous. At the time, those who died on the side of the road usually left in the same place or gathered in the pile, then waited for people to dig big holes and bury them, simply because they are mostly people from other provinces who came here for free, no relatives like them. If I don't go anymore, I'll die of hunger. The people here worry about their own family that has suffered. Why worry about strange dead bodies out there? They lose their strength. Suffering to provide rest for others is already very humanitarian. Strangely, after the famine, the phenomenon of disappearing corpses began to appear. Just after one night, a pile of corpses was thrown to the ground. Then, wandering around, some people lost legs, some lost hands. Those who just died on the side of the road also have the same fate. Their bodies were bitten apart, eaten up by so many parts. Worse, mass graves were also dug up to hang the corpse. Around those places, there are a lot of dog prints, big and small. People are starting to panic. They quickly figured out the cause of the hungry stray dogs. In the past, this region had many stories. Elephants, ponds, and bears caused death. But the dog eating human meat story is really horrible and was never a precedent. And then its climax came. That day was a full moon, January of 1945. The 5-year-old daughter of a blessed family was climbing by a big dog over the roof, jumped into the window and stole away. The maid looked and heard the noise, turned around and saw a huge black dog, like a tiger, eyes bright red like fire, mouth tightened the throat of this child. Then the sister lost her mind. The dog ran out behind the garden, jumped over the fence wall higher than the human head, and died in the night. The family ran out, lit a torch, and searched for it all night, but did not find any remains. The next day, the night watchman came to the district office to report about the odd thing that happened that night that he was guarding. Specifically, when I was beating the third alarm, I heard a lot of noise outside the rice field. I saw from the forest the herd of stray dogs complete in the village. In the middle of the night, we screamed people's scary noises, and the 5 went to look for dead bodies. Then stole chickens and pigs from the people to go back to the forest. The soldier was so scared that he did not dare leave the guard sitting there all night. The attacks are getting more intense. After the end of the hunger strike, the dead bodies are no more, and the dog attacks people even more crazily. They start calling them Sai Lang, meaning fierce as a wolf, but not a wolf. They claim that these are dogs that eat too many human carcasses, then start to get used to the smell and attack the village, grabbing children to eat. Others are supposed to be the soul of the starving dead entering a dog's corpse on a rampage. Nobody dares to stand against them anyway, for they are willing to turn around and kill and savage you if you resist. According to some old folk, Sai Lang has different characteristics than normal dogs. They are usually thin with their ribs showing a symptom of hunger. Their teeth and mouths are longer and sharper to pull meat from the bodies. Sai Lang's eyes are easiest to recognize. Dogs' eyes usually turn blue when you put a light on them, right? Sai Lang's eyes don't need to project anything. They shine brightly in the night. The blue eyes are normal. They usually only eat flesh and steal chickens and ducks. Yellow amber eyes are the heads. They love to attack and eat alive people, especially children. The last species is the red-eye ghost. These are the ones who have become devils and have a great hatred toward human. Their eyes are red like fire, and their bodies are a terrifying size. They don't follow the pack. They hunt alone like a tiger. It actively attacks humans, kills, and tears the flesh instead of eating. If they hunt the house, it's not good. There are so many unbelievable elements in the myth of the Sai Lang species that one thinks it only exists in fantasy. Whether it exists or not, it also represents a horrific and painful picture of the 1945 historical period of our nation. That was from one Vietnamese person. Think about what they said, though. There was 3 different versions. One with a kind of regular shaped eye, very anorexic looking, yellow eyes, and they were very anorexic looking as well. But then the ones with the red eyes were a terrifying size and were alone, hunted alone, and more savage. You know, that right there, if you think about it, falls into a Dogman category. You can put that in that Dogman category. Those red eyes, the lone kind of hunter attacking with ferocity. This is another Vietnamese person. I'm originally from Vietnam, and this is a folklore that was told to me by my late grandparents. This happened during Vietnam's Great Famine in 1945. According to the government statistics, the famine caused 2 million deaths in northern Vietnam, while international documents estimate the death toll at around 1 million, or approximately 8% of the population. Families started to eat their household pets, including their dogs, and a lot of dogs escaped to the woodland, causing the increase in the wild dog population. Those dogs also had to deal with hunger and start scavenging and dig out graves and feed on the corpse. One day, one little girl was snatched and killed by an extremely large dog with black fur and red, shining eyes. People started to notice a change in the wild dogs, with the attacks growing in numbers. There were 3 types of these wild dogs: blue eyes, the normal, stick with scavenging; yellow eyes, the alpha of the pack, very aggressive, will attack and kill people if need be; and the red eyes, the Sai Lang. The name can be translated as the evil dog, sharing traits with the American Dogman. They're very intelligent, walking on 2 legs occasionally, and extremely aggressive. People believed that they were the house dogs who held a grudge against humans for eating dog. Also, they ate way too much human meat and somehow got evolved in a bizarre way. Some even believe that they have supernatural abilities, and if they pick a house or a family to be the target, they will go all the way to harass, attack until the last person of that family is dead. That is the folklore or urban legend. I can't say how many percentage of the truth is in it, but we do have a slang in Vietnamese coming from this folklore, Ek Du Sai Lang, which can be translated to, You are such an evil dog to describe an extremely evil person. In 2011, there was an article that came out of the Lao-Khe province, and there had been one death of a woman, and 15 residents had been attacked by a bizarre, this is a bizarre canine-like creature, slender, long bodies, shining red eyes, and their fur coat is marked with white spots, black and white spots, or yellow stripes. Apparently, these shadowy creatures have been attacking pets and domestic animals and are now turning on the owners of these animals, which there was another article written a year prior that came out of India that reminded this person, the writer of this article, about a bupili, or a feline-like bipedal creature that was attacking a Indian village in 2010. And I had actually talked about that probably a couple years back. And there was a little girl was torn right out of her dad's hands. So very, very terrifying stuff. I've heard of people saying that they saw dogmen running through the woods as they were on boats, in the waterways of Vietnam, troops being attacked. They're reptilian-like humanoids coming out of caves and attacking U.S. troops. There was one that was not very descriptive of the attacker, but a group of special forces were kind of on a hill. They were at a disadvantage strategically because of how they were placed. They were trying to go up this hill, and these creatures were on the top of the hill attacking them. Eventually, the troops pulled out and left. But, it wouldn't surprise me with the lack of human kind of presence in those jungled areas. I wouldn't be surprised if, these dogmen over there are much different than the ones here. Much more aggressive, maybe even more cunning, maybe smarter, because they are living instead of, our dogmen, we hear typically cave dwelling, cemeteries. That's another thing that Sai Lang reminded me of, is they were eating or digging up graves. But why not take advantage of these old buildings, these old kind of monasteries and such that were left to the jungle, and the jungle just took them over. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. Let's get into part 3 of today's upload. This final part of the upload is a lot of information out of one of my favorite things to research, and that is Dulce, or any other kind of deep underground military base. Obviously, I have a list of things that I love to research. One, my top and probably favorite thing, is the government blaming animals for strange attacks that don't fit the animal. Brenda Hamilton, Linda Shaw, Tony Aarons, Amber Miller, Christopher Whiteley, Corey Godsey. The list goes on and on. Gentleman from Jacksonville, Florida, Ducky, who Dark Waters and I both talked about Ducky, because that one news feed hit me and him pretty hard, because it was clear as day. And I remember we both put an upload out the same day about Ducky, talked to each other after, and we're just comparing notes, talking about how just crazy this is. Then the government will cover it up. It's not. I'm starting to learn a little more about who in what part of the government, and it is Department of Homeland Security, but a lot of it is the CIA. They are using these creatures, these dogmen, as weapons of war. You're telling me Mike Pompeo doesn't know that dogmen? He's not using dogmen to, over in different parts of the world as an aggressor. They use them here, even though they're not supposed to do stuff on American soil. They do it all the time, God, I shouldn't have said that. But Dulce is one of my favorites. So the following information was released by Jefferson Souza, a contactee who has had repeated encounters with the Vegalerians, who, according to Souza, are similar in appearance to the dark-skinned Orients of India. Souza also claims contacts with Scandinavian-appearing humans from Luma or Wolf 424. I've talked about that planet or area, the Umo people. Both cultures utilize the huge Federation base located within a vast system of caverns deep beneath Death Valley in the Panamint Mountain region of California. In fact, several Federation groups utilize the base, according to Souza, which contains a whole area specifically conditioned with the various gravitational, atmospheric, and environmental conditions necessary to meet the needs of the various Federation visitors and dignitaries. The Paiute Indians of the southwest United States claim that a Greek or Egyptian-like race first colonized the massive caverns within the Panamint Mountains thousands of years ago. One source claims the base was established around 2500 BC, which is, incidentally, about 600 years following the beginning of the rise of the Egyptian intellectual culture, when Death Valley was part of this inland sea connected to the Pacific Ocean. When the sea dried up, these people, who were described as wearing flowing robes draped over one shoulder, headbands holding back their long dark hair, and bronze golden skin, out of necessity began to develop their collective knowledge and intellect to soon afterwards begun to construct silvery flying canoes. At first, these flying machines possessed wings, were relatively small, and flew with a dipping movement and a loud whirling noise. As time passed, the ships became wingless, grew larger in size, and flew ever more smoothly and silent. Eventually, these people, the Hav-Musavs, moved their civilization into still deeper caverns, which they had discovered further underground, and commenced to explore nearby planets and eventually other star systems as their own technology explosion began to refine every aspect of their society. The Hav-Musavs have apparently had interplanetary or interstellar travel for more than 4,000 years since they first developed their flying machines. Could they have been one of the many native Terrarian or ancient astronaut civilizations which apparently had colonized Lyra and other systems? The story of the Panamints was relayed by the Navajo by the same name, or by the name of Ogamake, who in turn heard it from the old Paiute medicine man. What about Souza's reference to the vegans who are similar in appearance to East Indians. I believe that India is a major key to understanding our planet's lost history. The ancient Vedic texts speak of flying ships called Vimanas, as well as a nuclear technology, which was utilized by ancients there. Hinduism itself arrived in India as a result of the pre-Nordic Aryan invasion from the north, the Gobi region. Some researchers insist that the Mayans and Egyptians are originally navigators from India, possibly explaining the similarity in agriculture, architecture, and their advanced medicine, astronomy, and mathematics. Swiss ethno-archaeologist Yaznad also quotes from ancient Indian texts, which state the leaders of the ancient India later collaborated with a secretive Grecian intellectual society in the development of the aerial ships. So the Hav-Musuvs may have been representatives of any one of these cultures, Nordic Aryan, East Indian, Egyptian, Mayan, or Greek, or the combination of cultures. However, one thing is certain: only a very small portion of the true history of our planet, as of this writing, can be found in standard historical texts. Jefferson Souza claims the following revelations are from the personal notes and scientific diaries of a scientist who was commissioned by the United States government over a period of several years to visit all the crash sites, interrogate captured alien life forms, and analyze all the data gathered from this endeavor. Eventually, this person was discovered to have kept and maintained personal note on his discoveries, and this therefore scheduled for termination, not just job termination, which he narrowly escaped. Following 33 years of investigation, Souza went into hiding in 1990. The Blue Planet Project, Alien Technical Research 25, Westchester Camp, Office of Central Research, number 3, Alien Life Forms, Code Aramis, Section Dulce Base. The following material comes from people who know the Dulce underground base exists. They are people who worked in the labs, abductees taken to the base, people who assisted in the construction, intelligent personnel, NSA, CIA, and some specific UFO inner Earth researchers. This information is meant for those who are seriously interested in the Dulce base. For your own protection, be advised to use caution while investigating this complex. An ongoing investigation made by JB3. Whose planet is this? These specific aliens, Greys and reptilians. So, really quick, the author is no doubt quoting from some of the writings of a researcher who has been at the very center of the Dulce investigations and has met with Tom Castiello. JB3 would be Jason Bishop III. Whose planet is this? These specific aliens, Greys, reptilians, consider themselves native terrarians. They are an ancient race, descendants of the reptilian humanoid species. They are untrustworthy manipulator mercenary agents from other extraterrestrial culture, the Dracos, who are returning to Earth, which was their ancient outpost before the coming of the original Uniterrestrials, to try and use it as a staging area, which is not easy at all because it causes all the other 170 different alien species to want to share, or to want their share of the secrets. But the alien cultures are in conflict over whose agenda will be followed on Earth. All the while mind control is being used to keep humans in place. artificially, of course, especially since the 40s. The Dulce complex is a joint U.S. government and alien base. It was not the first one built with the aliens. The others are located in Colorado, Nevada, Arizona, Alaska, etc. The Navajo Dam is the main source for conventional electrical power, with the second source in Alveda, which is also an underground entrance to Dulce. If Rand is the mother of think tanks, then the Ford Foundation must be considered the father. Rand's secrecy is not confined in reports, but on occasional extends to conferences and meetings. On page 645 of the Project Rand Proceedings of the Deep Underground Construction, March 1959, we read, just as airplanes, ships, and automobiles have given men mastery of the surface of the earth, tunnel boring machines will give him access to the subterranean world. They built the same type of subterranean tunnels at the ultra-top secret Moon and Mars base as well. Many of these underground cities are complete with streets, sidewalks, lakes, small electrical cars, buildings, offices, and shopping malls. Deep sections of the Dulce complex connect to natural cavern systems. A person who worked at the base, who had Ultra 7B clearance, reports the following. There are more than 7 levels, but I only know of 7. Most of the aliens are on 5, 6, and 7. Alien housing is on level 5. Trans-American underground sub-shuttle system. Overt and covert research within Dulce. The United States Energy Secretary, John Harrington, named the Lawrence Berkeley Laboratory and New Mexico Los Alamos National Laboratory to the House new advanced genetic research centers as part of the project to decipher the human genome. The genome holds the genetically coded instructions that guide the transformation of a single cell, a fertilized egg, into a biological being. The Human Genome Project may well have the greatest direct impact on humanity of any scientific initiative before us today, said Dave Shirley, director of the Berkeley Laboratory. Covertly, this research has been going on for years at Dulce Labs. Level number 6 at Dulce is privately called Nightmare Hall. It holds the genetic labs, reports from workers, CR-24/ZM52 files. 7 who have seen bizarre experimentations are as follows. I have seen multi-legged humans that look half human, half octopus, also reptilian humans, and furry creatures that have hands like humans and cry like babies. It mimics human words and also has a mixture of lizard/human in cages. There are fish, seals, birds, and mice that can barely be considered those species. There are several cages and vats of winged humanoids, grotesque bat-like creatures, about 3.5 to 7 feet tall, gargoyle-like beings, and draconian reptoids. Level 7 is worse. Row after row of several human and humanoids, hundreds, perhaps thousands, in cold storage. Here, too, are embryo storage and storage vats of humanoids in various stages of development. So we, as people who are into the cryptids, into the paranormal, we right there can identify with what people are seeing and talking about. There's a video. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I used to think it was fake. It may still be. It may be fake. It may still be. But there's like a girl and a guy, or a group of kids, young kids, teenage kids, that are walking in the woods. And there's like this multi-legged humanoid that comes running out of the woods at them. Multi-legged, like 6 legs. I used to think that was AI. You know, AI created that video. Did it? Or did those kids really catch it? Who knows? Because people have been talking about these creatures in Dulce for, God, 60 or 40 years, since like 1960s is when a lot of the information started to pour out. Not even pour out, trickle out. And then in the 80s, 90s, it started to kind of pour a little bit. But think about that. Multi-legged humans that look half human, half octopus. That creature that ran out at that girl, like that resembled what that was, just reptilians. Furry creatures that have human hands, cry like a baby and mimic human words. Or there are cages of winged humanoids, grotesque bat-like creatures, 3.5 to 7 feet. Mothman. Gargoyle. This is not far off. This is not like some, urban legend creepypasta. There are scientists who are involved in researching this. This shit is real and scary. Human and animal abductees for their blood and other parts slowed in the mid-'80s when the Livermore Berkeley labs began production of artificial blood for Dulce and its sister complexes. Number 2, the confrontation, human and alien Dulce. 82 people were killed between scientists and National Recon Group. Apparently 66 from Special Force and 16 scientists. A Delta group, which is responsible for the security of all alien-connected projects. Also, there were hundreds of other wounded people and 132 dead aliens. Good for us. The Dulce facility is the most well-known place where this joint interaction activity occurs, although there are at least another 26 bases within the United States that have similar facilities. We just talked about one up in Rene Lavaseur in Canada on the Canadian Eye, the lab down there creating things. In the book, ETs and UFOs, They Need Us, We Don't Need Them, was an original idea for one title, but not my personal choice, by Virgin Posty Armstrong. He reports how his friend Bob and Sharon stopped for the night in Dulce, went into a diner. They overheard some local residents openly and vocally discussing extraterrestrial abductions of the township people for purposes of experimentation. The ETs are taking unwilling human guinea pigs from general populace of Dulce and implanting devices in their heads and bodies. The townspeople were frightened and angry, but did not feel they had any recourse since the ET had our government knowledge and approval. Several Dulce residents are not naturally from the area. Single people, even couples with children, have just come to the town of Dulce since 1948. Generations of frozen agents occupied in specific positions. Work in gas stations, drugstores, bars, restaurants, etc. They're there to listen and report anything that violates their limit to security. Always the town of Dulce. You never know who is who. Dulce is run by a board. The chairman of the board is John Harrington. Jim Baker of Tennessee is NSA CIA linked to Dulce. House Speaker Jim Wright of Dallas, Texas, the national's third highest office, is the treasurer at Dulce. So right there, you've got that's illegal. That's unconstitutional. Everything that happened, everything, the fucking agreement that was made by our president back, I think it was Truman. I think I'd have to say Truman would do it. I don't see FDR, and I don't see Yeah, I'd say Truman was more involved in that. And yeah, he was. He's the one that really signed our rights over, which is unconstitutional. You can't make agreements with... Anyway. There's currently a power struggle going on, as Representative William Thomas, Republican in California, put it. Part of Jim Wright's problem is he fails to understand what is fair. It's the arrogance of power. Even among fellow Democrats, many find Wright to be uncomfortable. Wright's operating style leaves him vulnerable. It was Eisenhower. But I think they used Eisenhower as a scapegoat. I really think they used Eisenhower. If you think about the three people that were president during that period of time. You got FDR, Truman, and Eisenhower. Which one of them is the shadiest? FDR was just a president, an American president. Like, he was a good man. I really feel like he was a good man. Eisenhower warned us of the military-industrial complex. Why would he make a pact with these fuckers? Truman was a little weasel, if you look at it. A little weaselly. Little weasel. Anyway. Most meetings of the Dulce boards are held in Denver, Colorado, and Taos, New Mexico. Former New Mexican Senator Harrison Schmitt, publicly known as the last man on the moon, has full knowledge of Dulce. He was one of the 7 astronauts to tour the base. In 1979, he held an animal mutilation conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This was used to locate researchers and determine what they had learned about the links between the mute operations and the alien government deals. Senator Bryan of Nevada knows about the ultra secrets of Dreamland and Dulce. So do many others in the government. This is what the UFO researchers are up against, so be careful. It's not just UFO researchers, it's all of us. It's all of us. We could all fall victim. They have killed to keep this information secret. And by reading this document, you now know more than they want you to. After all, the fascist group within this country had John Kennedy assassinated and got away with it. Look to the links within the larger umbrella, the web of the fascist totalitarian secret police state within the Pentagon, JCS, DIA, Division 5 of the FBI, DISC, DIS, and CIA. The other information contained in the Blue Planet Project manuscript includes information on various secret government projects, including the following: MAJI, or MAGI, Majestic Agency of Joint Intelligence Project. Type E, Bernard Star, the orange. Information on the Riglin Reptilian Gray, Luna 1, the Riglalian base on the far side of the moon. It includes a base of a mining operation using very large machines, very large alien craft or carrier ships. Wave Nest is the Rigelian base in the Atlantic Ocean and includes an underwater alien base mining in big cigar-shaped crafts. The Rigelians made contact with certain members of the military-industrial corporate or secret government complex in 1947 through 71. The government thought that the Greys meant us no harm, but in 82 and in 88, the picture that emerged was exactly the opposite. The story now is one of the great deceptions at the secret levels. The Greys' Trojan horse-style manipulation and lying involved the MJ-12 and the Magic Forces, or MAJIC forces. The current agreements within the Greys, within the NSA connected levels of the military-industrial complex. Some sources have implied, continue it as large, level of alien infiltration and mind control that exists throughout certain levels of the intelligence community. The inner core of the CIA, NSA is deeply controlled by the Greys, working under the instructions of aliens from Regal and the CIA. The former Nazi scientists had developed and deployed malignant strains of bacteria and viruses, including AIDS, in order to exterminate undesirable elements of the human population. Information on the Nordic races. This is where it gets good. This is some information that everyone pretty much wants to know how big these things are. The Nordics are average male height 2 meters, female 1.7, average weight 90 kilograms for a male, 70 kilograms for a female, body temp 98.6, pulse and respiration 72.5 over 16, or female 72.5 over 21, blood pressure 120 over 80, female 80 over 50, life expectancy 60 years male on Earth, 23 years female on Earth. Information on the orange. Males 1.7 meters, females 2.0 meters, 70 kilograms, male, female 50 kilograms. Temperature, male 91 degrees Fahrenheit, 91 degrees Fahrenheit for female. Pulse and respiration 242 over 61 for male, same for female. Blood pressure 80 over 40 for male and female. The orange alien are reportedly humanoids with red, stocky hair, and in some cases may have been genetically tampered with and imputed with various levels of reptilian genetics, making them quasi-hybrid race. Although apparently most human in most cases, unlike the reptilians, however, they have external reproductive organs. They come from Barnard star system. A certain rare occasion, they have been seen with facial hair. We will close this section by quoting okay. Hang on one second. Okay, the metagene factor is a biological variant lying dormant in select members of the human race until an instant of extraordinary physical and emotional overstress activates it. Apparently, latent self-preservation gene capable of producing seemingly superhuman abilities. So this metagene is like, you've heard of moms that their kid was trapped under a car and the mom like picked the car up, or not picked it up like and threw it, but picked it up long enough to get the kid out from underneath. Just sub or superhuman strength. That's that metagene that these aliens want. And it comes from the pineal gland. That is a energochemical in response to adverse stimuli. A chromosomal combustion takes place as the metagene takes the source of biostress, be it chemical, radioactive, or whatever. It turns a potential response into a catalyst for genetic change. The main focus of the catalyst power is a gland in the middle of the human brain called the pineal gland, and the nutrient for increasing the pineal action is adrenaline. The metagene factor gives the ability of psionic power, for better or worse. The main interest of the aliens, especially the Greys, is to understand and control the metagene for its own race, then try to do this using biological experiments to make hybrids from both human and alien. They believe perhaps the men from planet Earth are the deadliest creatures in the universe because only on Earth people are apparently capable of generating the metagene factor, which means natural psionics ability, real power. So think about it. I mean, that is real power. Explain that the live, you know, what would they call it? The Latent self-preservation gene. That's a perfect name for it, if you ask me. Perfect name. This is some interesting stuff that I wanted to share. Some just interesting terms or projects. Sigma, initial project involved with attempts to establish communication with alien intelligence. Plato, responsible for establishing diplomatic relations with the aliens. This project secured a formal treaty, illegal under the Constitution, with alien greys. Aquarius, concerned with investigating the history of the aliens' presence on Earth and interaction with human beings. An outgrowth of this project is a huge thesaurus-like document called the Yellow Book, describing aliens, their history in regards to humanity and technology. Project Garnet, project responsible for control of all information and documents regarding alien subjects and accountability for their information and documents. Pluto, the project responsible for evaluating all UFO and IAC identified alien craft information pertaining to space technology. Pounce, a project that was formed to recover all downed and or crashed crafts and aliens and provide a cover story, kind of to mask true endeavors whenever necessary. Cover story, experimental aircrafts. So weather balloon would be Project Pounce during Roswell. NRO, National Recon Organization, based at Fort Carson, Colorado, responsible for via Delta Force for security of all alien spacecraft. Delta, a special arm of the NRO, which is especially trained and tasked in security of all magic projects, or MAJIC, Majestic 12. Also codenamed Men in Black, the Delta Force are trained to provide alien task projects and Luna-based security. Blue Team, the first project responsible for reaction and or recovery of downed and or crashed alien crafts and or aliens. This was the United States Air Force Material Command Project, also synonymous with Alpha Team Crash and Retrieval. Sign, the second project responsible for collection of intelligence and determining whether alien presence constituted a threat to the United States national security. Sign, absorbed the Blue Team Project. This was the United States Air Force and CIA. Red Light, project involving the test flying and back engineering of recovered alien craft at Area 51, Groom Lake, Dreamland, Nevada. UFO sightings of craft accompanied by black unmarked helicopters and Project Red Light assists. Snowbird, established as a cover for Project Red Light. This project is activated from time to time when it is necessary to provide cover stories for red light operations. We all know what Blue Book is, a U.S. Air Force UFO and alien intelligence collection and disinformation project. This project was terminated and its collected information and duties were absorbed by Project Aquarius. A classified report named Grudge/Blue Book Report number 13 is the only significant information derived from that project. Other than that, information from secondhand source is unavailable to the public. Reports number 1 through 12 and number 14 are available to the public. The Grudge/Blue Book Report number 13 mentions that many military, government personnel, and civilians have been terminated or murdered without due process in the law when they have had attempted to reveal the alien interaction with the secret government. I mean, guys, this is so deep. And then this is interesting. Gabriel project developed high-frequency pulse sound generating weapons. So the Gabriel project, which would be against alien crafts and beam weapons. Joshua, development of low-frequency weapons. And then the Excalibur is a weapon designed to destroy alien underground bases, developed and funded mostly by intelligence branches connected to the United States Navy and SDI projects, who have rejected any further interaction with the Greys after they turned on us during the Groom Massacre in the Dulce Wars. Some patriotic elements, Majestic 12, and the military-industrial complex support this agenda of resistance, whereas other elements tied in with their corporate imperialists of the international banking community support continued collaboration for purposes of acquiring further mind control technology for New World Order. Excalibur is a missile capable of penetrating 1,000 meters of hard-packed soil, such as found in New Mexico. So pretty much like Moab, you know. That's some scary shit. I mean, if you really think about that, that information right there tells us that when did the American government kind of turn on its own people? You know, when did the American government stop being a democracy? Exactly when they shook hands with the aliens for the betterment of the United States. Yet they screwed us royally. And are these aliens extraterrestrial, interterrestrial? Are they dimensional? Who knows? They could be all three. They probably are all three, actually. I mean, think about the terrarians, the reptilian terrarians. Is that what happened to the dinosaurs? Were their dinosaurs so complex and so smart that were bipedal and capable of creation through the evolution of, you know, every species evolves. And I know that's a touchy subject, but it's been proven. Did the dinosaurs evolve? Like monkeys are using tools now. Chimps are using tools. That's evolution. That is an evolutional change. You can't argue with it. Monkeys are using tools. They have watched and now are using rocks and sticks to hunt with, to fight with, to cause war with. That is an evolutionary change. That's scary. That whole just this, and that's what interests me. And are these people creating? We're, you know, like the Sumerians talked about these dog-headed aliens. Is that who walked with the ancient Inuit people across the Bering Sea Bridge? Probably. Marco Polo talks about this dog-headed race. They've been here for a while. Are the cryptids that we are seeing created by these things and have a connection to these things? Yes, 100%. Especially if they're interdimensional. And we see portals open and monsters drop out and run as a hunter's sitting on, you know, this fucking cliffside in Utah. Did Native American shamans get the power to transform into a shapeshifter? Navajo skinwalkers, Yadadalushi. Did they get the power from these aliens from back in the day to transform? Who knows? Anyway, with that, guys, I'd like to end today's upload. I got the hiccups. I hope you all enjoyed today's upload as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is your support, after all, that helps this channel to continue to grow and go. And honestly, what makes it a place for people to want to share their ideas, theories, and experiences, ridicule and judgment-free, just simply treated with the respect that we all deserve. It's all on you guys. Thank you. With that being said, stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real. These scenarios, this stuff is real. It is out there, and it is freaking dangerous. Share this information with the people you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. And until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless.